Thank you.
It looks like Candace is frozen on us, Victor. There she is.
There she is.
She's back.
She's back. She's back. There she is. Miss America. What's up, Miss America? Is she there?
You're alone again. We lost her. We lost her. You're alone again.
I'm alone again.
Say hello to the world.
Say hello, world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a good thing, a wonderful thing to be here on this day. We are waiting for our co-host to arrive. We're having some technical difficulty. There she is. There she is. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Super Candace. Candace, what's going on, man?
Everything. It seems like a whole lot has been, and I see we're all in our vehicles again today. But
Yes,
it just seems like a whole lot has been happening. And obviously, you have to start with the biggest news of the day, is that the president tested positive for COVID, him and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as you can imagine, that's causing quite a stir. And we know he's usually one for the theater, and he likes the grandeur and all of that. So I don't know if this is necessarily, I don't know anybody that wants COVID, but
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so I think immediately when I heard the news, my first thought was, it's just crazy, especially having gone through losing a family member to COVID.
Yes. Yes.
And then my next thought was, mask up, pay attention to the science. Let's all protect and take care of each other, because first it was announced that Hope Hicks had tested positive for COVID. And then I guess from there, it triggered everyone else to being tested. But I don't know if you saw that Roma, RNC chair, she tested positive for COVID last Wednesday.
Oh, did she? I didn't know that.
She did not last Wednesday, but this Wednesday. And she didn't say a word. And it didn't come out until today that she had tested positive for COVID.
Wow. What about Joe Biden?
So Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden both were tested and they came back negative. So
okay.
I don't think that they had any contact with each other when they were preparing, when they were coming out for the debate. Remember, part of the rules, they said that they had both agreed to, not shake hands or any of that.
So I'm wondering, Candace, how many feet were they apart from one another when they were debating earlier this week?
They looked like they were a good amount. They looked like they were pretty far apart. They did.
Because the latest scientific data says that COVID's reach is beyond 6 feet.
Okay.
Particularly when people are engaged and involved in heightened speech. So its reach is beyond that. So I was just curious about that, but I think it's the ultimate irony that Donald Trump has this COVID-19 virus, particularly considering his mishandling of this virus in the first place. In all of the statements that he's made, these networks can use his words. They can use his. I can't say they can use his words against him. That would be for the Democrats to do, not for network media to do, because they have to be unbiased, or should be.
Right. I think I've already saw a couple of posts floating around of how during the debate he was kind of taking shots at Joe Biden for always having on a mask.
Exactly.
So those have already started to float around.
Exactly.
This is just one of those situations where the only takeaway I want people to have from this is to mask up and follow the science. For me, all that other stuff, all of the he's faking it, all that other stuff, it's whatever, right?
Well, you know what though, Candace, with that being said, Candace, people are saying that in the rumor mill. The rumor mill is saying that. They're saying because of his huge debacle the other night with regard to the debate that he might be playing possum. I mean, that's what they're saying now.
No, but listen, whether he's playing possum or not, this does give some credence to what the scientists are saying about the masks and wearing the mask and the social distancing and being careful and not having those big rallies and gathering like that.
And you know what? And that's a great point, Candace. Because the other day I was reading an article, and it was making reference to the possible inroads that the Republicans have been making during this election season, and they're saying, particularly given the fact that they're taking the election straight to their base, because Donald Trump was, before this situation occurred, Donald Trump was taking the campaign directly to his base. He was not practicing social distancing. They weren't saying that you should mask up and all these different things. They were having rallies at these airport hangars and stuff like that. And they also credited his ground game, right? His ground game for making inroads with regard to registering new people to vote in key battleground states. And Candace, they were saying that everything that the Trump campaign was doing, the Biden campaign was being super cautious, right? And so maybe it's paying off. See, at first, Candace, I was saying to myself, you know what? He may have to use the more direct approach. I'm talking about Joe Biden. He may have to use the direct approach in terms of taking his campaign to his base.
Mm-hmm.
While also practicing social distancing and masking up and doing all those proper procedures as well. What do you think about that?
I think the bottom line is, and we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
And that is a huge public health crisis. That's not something that you can take lightly or take for granted just because you want to have an election, or because you want to get votes and all of that. What has to come first is people's health. That has to come first. What has to come first, especially if you are a leader, you've got to think about how putting people above you. You've got to be innovative with this. You've got to think of more. And I know people don't necessarily want to do digital campaigns, but you've got to do more, take a more digital approach. You've got to, utilize mailing systems and all of that. You have to think of a way you can still get your message across, but still keep the masses safe. Because at the end of the day, dead people can't vote. Well, they could illegally, but dead people can't vote. And then not only that, forget it being about a vote. Let's look at the fact that let's just be humane and think about how do we keep people safe and how do we keep people alive. And I think part of the way of conveying your message or getting your message across, they could have both utilized the debate to do that. They could have utilized the debate to talk about their platforms and to draw voters into whatever thought process they have. You know what I'm saying? I think they wasted a key opportunity to do exactly what you're saying, Vic, and that's draw their base into them, and then also get the potential to draw more people into them that's not necessarily their base. That could have been done in a debate, and I think that was wasted. I do want to say hello to our Facebook viewers. Hello, hello. How are you? And so I guess I just think that the biggest thing is when you have those opportunities to debate, which they did, you don't waste it in the way that they did,
Absolutely. In the way that Trump did. Let's be clear on that. That was Trump's doing. That was his strategy from beginning to end. He was not going to let that man be able to have a typical debate or standard debate with him. He wasn't even thinking about that. Trump wasn't thinking about that. He wasn't thinking about that.
This is the thing of where I'm kind of looking at Joe and his team, right? Because we watched Trump debate Hillary and we saw what that was about. We saw what that looked like. And so I think that preparation should have been different. Joe Biden, he came to a debate prepared to debate as though he was debating someone who is a politician and they've been in politics for years, and someone who was going to approach it from a civil standpoint,
a conventional debate.
That Donald Trump has shown is that he's an all-out brawler in the sense of he's going to say and do whatever. And so if going into that this is what you're dealing with, I think that mentally there has to be a better preparation.
I agree.
While I think it is completely okay and fine for the masses to call him a clown, For me,
If the shoe fits, man.
I'm
If
just
the
saying
shoe fits,
I'm just
Candace.
saying though.
He's a clown.
But this is the thing. This is the thing.
What's up? What's up?
Were we not looking for a president in that debate?
Yes,
Was
true,
that not a
true.
presidential debate? So
Yes,
shouldn't
yes.
someone have looked presidential during that debate? Do
I
you see
would
what I'm
say-
saying?
I agree with you, Candace, but I say that Joe Biden looked more presidential than Donald Trump.
But what your point was that he looked more presidential. You're comparing him looking
Yes.
presidential to someone who doesn't look presidential at all. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
I think
absolutely.
I think what happened was he allowed Donald Trump to pull him into his game. And I think, it was frustrating to know that it wasn't his turn to talk, and he kept cutting into Biden's turn to speak, not letting him get a word in edgewise.
Exactly.
When it came time to explain his healthcare plan,
Exactly.
it was disturbing that he was like, "Oh, we've cut costs. Insulin is gonna the price is gonna be like water." Like, that's not a plan. That's not telling you anything. That's not
Doesn't have
anything.
a plan.
Here you are saying that you want to cut affordable health care, which helps people with pre-existing conditions.
Exactly.
And you're wanting to do that. But then now here you are with a pre-existing condition.
Yes.
You are officially part of the pre-existing condition club, as if he didn't already have some pre-existing conditions that he tends to want to be about.
You're right.
I just think that for me, the debate, I wish it would have gone differently. I wish we would have had an opportunity to hear their plans on the questions. I did not let it slide the fact that they asked Donald Trump about systemic racism, and he basically said it did not exist. He refused to answer the question. I was disappointed that Joe Biden didn't press him on that of, do you think systemic racism is real or not? Even though we have his answer when he's saying that implicit bias training is racist. How is training someone how to deal with someone that you might not normally see racist?
It's reverse racism. It's reverse racism. That's his point. That's what he's saying.
But in order for it to be reverse racism, you first have to agree that racism exists. And you can't reverse it if you're not saying. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. I totally agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. But that's his argument, that it's reverse racism. Plain and simple. It's un-American. It's unpatriotic. I tell you. That's what he says. But I would have to say this though. About Joe Biden, Candace, I would have to say that he did a terrific job, given the fact that Trump was jabbing at him every step of the way. I mean, man, let me tell you something. Putting myself in his position, I would have had some choice words for him. I would have said, "Hey, we ain't got nothing but space and opportunity between me and you, bro. What's up?"
Well, that's why we're happy that you're not running for president. That's why we're happy that you're not running for president. I want to take a moment to read a couple of these Facebook comments.
Okay.
Let's see, where are we? Tim was saying how his Facebook feed is full of people celebrating the news. I'm sorry, Paul, I'm at the top. On the news on Trump, and no one is even hoping this means he's gone before January. He said one is even hoping this means he's gone before January. Then Tim also said Biden needs to figure out how to motivate the middle of the road to vote for him. Today, I'm hearing people say they're voting for him because he's not Trump, or they're not voting for either candidate. And then Hometown Hero said, yeah, it was Trump wasting it. LOL. Biden never answered one question. God, the court is not your question. He's clearly weak, man. No energy or charisma. Okay, I want to stop there. A couple of things. And Tim, I think that's something that we've tried to examine on this show before, of where we've said that, and that is the case. And that's just reality in a lot of elections, though. Sometimes people aren't necessarily voting for one candidate. They're voting against another candidate.
True.
And we have that happen a lot because we have a two-party system. And so you kind of have to figure out, if you are undecided, you have to figure out, okay, what's going to be most in line with what I believe. Or even if they are part of a party that is in line with what you believe, maybe the candidate is someone you can't get behind. I think that seems to be the case in the Republican Party, because you don't necessarily have Republicans that are leaving the party, but you do have them saying, no, I'm going to go ahead and vote for Dem this time, because what he's standing for is just because of this particular person is not standing for what we believe the Republican Party is.
Candace, can I add something? Can I add something to Tim's point and
Mhm.
his point in this question that he was raising? And this is something I've been hearing people say about the Democratic Party. Personally, I think it's endemic of the entire political process. But here's one of your favorite topics, Candace. There are those who make the argument concerning the Democratic Party, and I would make this about the Republican Party too, that there's classism. There's a degree of class bias that's a part of this process. And one of the reasons why the Democratic Party is not connecting with its base, its grassroots base, that is, with regard to the African American community, with regard to millennials, with regard to the Hispanic communities that exist. One of the reasons is because there is a class disconnect. There's a class bias that exists. What do you say about that? What do you say about that, Candace?
So you don't normally
I've heard people level that argument about them.
So normally when I discuss classism, I'm not talking from a party perspective at all, right? I'm saying, period, there's classism in this country. Sure. Classism is very American. It just is. Some things I know we don't like to hear, but that's the reality is classism exists. If you can you afford to be healthy? Can you afford a doctor to save your life? Can you afford to be innocent? Or can you afford to get off when you're guilty? That's America. Can you afford, Hey, but I'm trying to answer your question. So I've never heard anyone say it directly about the Democrats. I have not. And that's just me being honest. I've not heard them say that directly about the Democrats, but I think that is something to explore. Because one of the things that has to happen, regardless of who wins this election, both parties are going to have to do some huge they're going to have to call some people to the carpet. Both parties are going to have to figure out how to reconfigure, both parties are going to have to figure out how to realign, because I think you have fractures clearly in both parties. So regardless of who wins, you have both the Dems and the Republicans that are going to have to figure out how to reunite their parties on both.
And Candace, with regard to that, though, I agree with you wholeheartedly, no question about that. But I'll have to say this, and I'm not a Republican. I'll have to say that Trump's populist message connects him with his grassroots base better than Biden's message does. I think. I think Trump does a better job in terms of connecting with his grassroots base. That 30 to 35%, that 40%, that's ride or die. No matter what he says, what he does, whatever happens, whatever missteps takes place, right? They're always there with him. He connects with that group. He connects with that group.
He connects with that group because
I don't agree with his method.
He connects with that group because all he has is that group.
And
like you said, that's the group that agrees with the brass in your face, the harshness. That's the group that if they're not racist, they're okay with racism. That's the group that that's the group that is showing a bit. I'm gonna leave it at that. Whereas with Biden, he tends to do what a lot of leaders do, and he tends to do what the Democrats do, of trying to figure out how do you please all of these people at once? How do you make sure nobody feels left out? And so when that happens, unfortunately, somebody always feels left out. You know what I'm saying? Somebody is always going to feel like their voice isn't being heard. Someone's always going to feel like slighted because maybe their idea wasn't accepted right away. Whereas Trump doesn't have that kind of energy. Trump is like, this is what it is. This is what we're doing. This is how I'm moving. You either move with me, roll or get rolled on. That's just what it is. I'm trying to tell you, listen, Trump is the very definition of get down or lay down, and even if you lay down, I still might step on you.
What's the name of that movie? One of your favorite movies? What's the name of it? So Donald Trump gets down like state property, huh? Like Jay-Z, Dame Dash, and them.
Man.
And what's that rapper's name from Philly? I forget his name.
Beanie Siegel.
Beanie Siegel. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
However, he does have a somewhat of a following among certain MCs, though. Like 50, like your boy Yeezy. Like some athletes, like Mike Tyson,
I don't think that 50 Cent is following and supporting Trump. 50 Cent is like Trump in the sense that they like controversy. They
Yeah.
know that attracts people to them. So I don't think that 50 is necessary. I think 50 and Donald are akin to the fact that they're both opportunistic. But I don't think 50 is really following Donald. He'll also put up posts about Trump in the negative.
True,
so
that's
for
true.
him, it's just a matter of it's salacious and it'll get attention.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
funny, you know.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But let me raise another point, Candace. Let me raise another point. Well, I just saw a breaking news feed that Trump is being transported to Walter Reed Medical Center. Wow. What's that about?
Oh.
I just saw that. It flashed across my screen. I can't pull it up right now. I lose my feed, but I just saw that story.
Yeah,
flash across the screen.
I can't pull up anything either, or I'll lose my feed as well. Let me see. I have my laptop in my car. Let me see if I can.
But while you're doing that, I'll pose another question to you, right? And this goes back to the 2016 campaign, and there were some people who, again, in keeping with classism, right? There were some people who were saying that Trump's message of economic nationalism, and also dealing with the issue of immigration, right? Addressing it, this addressing that issue, and addressing these various types of issues, such as the economy, such as job development and things of that nature. These are issues and realities that the Democrats need to deal with more so. And I'm wondering, how is Joe Biden doing in terms of addressing the America First theme, for instance, that Donald Trump is addressing, and this whole issue of economic nationalism, right? And this whole issue of job development, right? And economic empowerment and such. I mean, that's what I remember in the 2016 election cycle. Those were some criticisms that some analysts were leveling at the feet of Hillary Clinton.
Right.
What do you think? I wonder, how is Biden doing in terms of addressing those issues? Because the economy is real. I mean, look at it. We have food lines, literally. We have bread lines, right? People are running out of unemployment, right? Resources and things of that nature. Some people are losing their health care, right? So the economy is a real concern. I don't care who you are. If you're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent, that's real. That's real. That's a real concern. Food, clothing, and shelter has to be secured. I don't care who you are, whether you're black, white, Latino, Arab, whatever the case may be, a Dem, a Republican, an independent, a libertarian, a socialist, a communist, whoever you are, you've got to have your basic needs met. And are they being met is the question.
Right.
What do you think about that? I mean, how is Joe Biden doing in terms of driving home that point?
So I think that if we were able to have an actual debate, we would be able to answer some of your questions. I don't think that it's necessarily fair that we're trying to say X, Y, or Z, and we didn't get an actual debate. I think obviously, there are a lot of areas in which this country is failing, and it took a pandemic to kind of highlight some of the weak points. And so what the debate would have done would have been, it would have provided us an opportunity, to Paul, don't worry about that. It would have provided us an opportunity to hear what their plan of correction for some of these things are, because other than that, you'll just have to go read it online and you interpret whatever you interpret. Whereas if it comes out of their mouth, horse's mouth, you have it from the horse's mouth. But there are a lot of areas in which this country is lacking. And so for me, it would have been nice to hear from the both of them, what is your plan moving forward? How are you going to address some things? Even after the systemic racism question, when they asked him, would he condemn racists? And come on now, come on.
Stand back, stand back and stand by. Stand back and stand by.
Not only that, but how he tried to put the onus on them. Who do you want me to condemn? Sure, I'll condemn anybody. You know what's up. You're the president. Right now, you don't know who you should be condemning. that's a problem.
It
So
is. It is.
So to try to throw it back on the announcer, and then not only that, not to say he never even actually said the words "I condemn them" or "there's this" or "there's that." And for anybody that wants to try to act like, oh, he just condemned the KKK and all of that, like, cut it. Don't even. He had the opportunity to verbally say it for the world to hear, and instead, what he said was, "Stand back and stand by."
That's a battle cry. That's a battle cry right there. That's a battle cry. There's no other way to interpret that. No doubt about that. And he has no intention of doing that either, though, folks. He has no intention of doing that, Candace or Mike. He's not going to do it. We know how he's cut. He down with them. They're part of his crew. The Boogaloo Boys, the Proud Boys, the neo-Nazis, the skinheads. They down with him. And in some sectors, they refer to Trump as the Fuhrer. Real talk.
The Fourth Reich. The Fourth Reich.
Yeah.
And you know,
you want to know what's funny? Is that Hometown Hero will attack you in the comments, right? And then the minute you say something back to him is, oh, I didn't know we can have opinion. I feel so attacked. Hometown Hero, this is the second week in a row you've called something I've said lazy. Now you're calling me disingenuous. But if I say something back to you, you're going to be a victim in the comment section. So what I'll say to you is, choose your words if you don't want to catch some words back. This isn't Trump and Biden, okay? I'm not Joe Biden. I'm telling you.
And you're not Chris Wallace either. You're not Chris Wallace either.
Right? A lot of the Trump supporters
failed to test. He failed to test as a moderator.
Right.
I don't think
a lot of the Trump supporters.
The same thing with Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace went into this the same way Joe Biden went into this. They both went into this somehow confused as to the fact that you are not going into a debate with someone who is your average politician who's going to sit up there, who's going to be stately and do those things. That is not the kind of debate you were going into. I don't even know what else to say other than we saw when Secretary Clinton debated him, we saw what happened. So I'm not quite sure how they went into a debate thinking this was going to be an adult conversation.
Well, see, when you argue with a guy like Trump, you got to realize a couple of things about Trump. Can y'all hear me? One of the things about Trump is this: Trump is like three black people arguing on a radio show. You got to get your words in. You ain't gonna get your words in without stressing your point, arguing your point, and being aggressive about it. But Trump, but Biden don't work like that. And so,
oh, Mike, we lose.
He come in there. You want to know why he got cut off, Vic? You want to know why he's messing up?
Why is that?
Because he's sitting up here insulting black people on the radio. That's why he's still messed up. That's why.
Mike.
I said Biden. I said last week. I said last week. Can y'all hear me?
You're freezing up. You're freezing up, Mike. You need to find a spot. You need to find a spot to park. Ooh, Mike's connection is not working that good.
Yeah. I don't have time for whatever Hometown Heroes got going today because the whole country saw him not condemn them. So you can argue all that. He did it in the past, all this other stuff. He had the opportunity. The world was watching, and he told them to stand back and stand by. I don't see you commenting on the stand back and stand by comment. So
that's the battle cry.
You just want to hit whatever point you want to hit. I don't see you having an issue. But then again, Hometown Hero doesn't believe systemic racism is real either. It's not really too much you can do with that. I just feel like at this point, the VP debate is happening on the 7th. Okay?
Oh yeah.
And so I think what the both of them have to do, they have to come in and they have to play cleanup for that last debate.
Absolutely.
They have to come in and they have to be able to actually talk about their platforms. You know, they have to be able to come in and actually say this is what's going to happen, and how it's going to happen. There's always a beauty to being an incumbent and a nightmare to being an incumbent. And unfortunately, when you are an incumbent who has a high unemployment rate, right?
Yes.
When you have civil unrest on your hands.
Yes.
When you have just when you have over 200,000 people dead on your hands.
Yeah. 200. Yeah.
This is where you being the incumbent, you better figure out how you're gonna explain this stuff.
Absolutely.
And it can't be, oh, it was Corona. We all know it was Corona, but what part of this was from the inaction of your administration?
Absolutely.
You're going to have to answer it, and whether you like it or not, these are explanations that you're going to have to give the people, because you want people to cast their vote for you in a way that it makes sense for the electoral college to reelect you. So let's be clear about how that works too.
And Candace, you know what? You're making some great points. And I think in addition to those points, this arguably can be stated as both of these candidates' coming out party with regard to Kamala Harris and Mike Pence, because we know that both of them have presidential aspirations in the future. So this is their time right here. This is their time right here, right now. And to be honest with you, whereas I've seen Kamala Harris in action, right, cross-examining people and things of that nature, I haven't seen Mike Pence. Have you seen Mike Pence involved in a debate or anything of that sort? I haven't seen him make those kind of addresses. Have you? I'm just trying to get a sense of what kind of debater he might be, how effective a communicator he may or may not be. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Mike Pence?
What say you? Yeah, Mike Pence.
Do you remember the last debates that happened, the last debate that he participated in?
Was he effective in it? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. That's what you're saying. Not necessarily. He was. I
will say the same thing about last time. I think what happened last time is going to be what happens this time, and that is that the vice presidential debate will be more intellectual than the presidential debate.
Oh, okay.
That's what occurred last time, though. Yeah. It was more of a explain your platform, explain your stance, explain what you're going to do. So I think that we're going to have that again in the vice presidential debate. It's what we got last time. So the only thing that I can say, and obviously, listen, I think the only way that they could, do worse than that presidential debate is if they both just said nothing. That's the only way to do worse than whatever that was. That's the only
standard is low. The bar is low.
Yeah. Even if they just come out and say, hey, how's your day? They've already won right there. There's some diplomacy right there.
No doubt.
Deep Blue is back.
Deep Blue.
I don't know if you can hear me or not. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Sir, you are nice and loud.
This technology is killing me today. I've tried everything I can to get it together, but it's giving me problems. There's a bug in the system.
Where are you at, man? Where you at?
Well, I had to drive to an undisclosed location just so I could get a better shot.
Tim said that Hillary's VP was weak.
Yeah, he wasn't
I'm going to say that a lot of people were of the same opinion as you are with that.
Yeah, he wasn't too exciting. He was not too exciting.
Tim Kaine?
Yeah, exactly. Yup, absolutely.
Yeah, Tim Kaine was weak.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, no matter what people think about what happened with Joe Biden and Trump at the debate, I think Biden looked weak because it wasn't his program, right? When like I said before, when you got people screaming, hollering, arguing in a circle, Trump is used to that.
Yeah.
It's like black folks getting the word in at the barbershop. We know how to do that. We know how to do it. Trump knows how to do that. And the average white brother friend of mine doesn't know how to jump in. It's like what's that stuff you call when the jump rope's going and you got to jump in there? Double dutch. Yeah. Black folk talk and talking together is like double dutch. If you don't jump in and get your spot in at the right time, you're gonna miss your spot. The rope gonna just keep going.
That's right.
Most white brothers and sisters don't know how to really do that. They don't double dutch.
So
they don't lyrically, figuratively, and verbally double dutch. Joe Biden is kind of like that. Trump is a double dutcher. He knows how to double dutch. There's no doubt about it.
He does.
He knows how to double dutch.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And Joe Biden was out of his element because here's a man double dutching, and you sitting there looking for a spot to jump into, and you just can't do it.
Absolutely.
So in that estimation, Joe looked weak, right? Because he's thinking about things. He's got to sit down. Joe is nervous in a sense because Joe is a stutterer, so he has to be careful with his words, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Most of my friends that I know who stutter, I am careful not to interrupt them. You know why? Because it makes them nervous, and then it hurts their stuttering, right?
Yeah,
but Trump could care less about that. He knows that he's a stutterer. He knows the quirks of a stutterer, and so he goes in on them to exploit that. And that for me is how evil this man is, right? I do want to. I'm sure you all did this. I hope you have.
Okay.
Offered your peace and your goodwill and your get well wishes to the president, the first lady, and anybody concerned with their circle. Hope Hicks and everybody else. Have you all done that?
Yeah, we mentioned it, and certainly our hearts are with. No, seriously, man, our hearts are with the president and the first lady and everybody who's been affected. Absolutely.
Did Candace do it? Did Candace do it?
Of course.
Actually, Michael, what I said was I understand the scare of that because I had a family member that died from coronavirus, and I also encourage people to use to wear their masks and take advantage of the science that we have available to us. Let's be wise here.
Absolutely.
And I also pointed out some of the things that were being said on social media, and I said whether it's real or not, whether you think he's faking or not, take this opportunity to put your mask on and protect yourself.
I agree. And so what I was saying was, here's a man now that we don't even know if he's telling the truth, right? It could be some lie, some big hoax.
But Mike,
isn't that a terrible situation to be in? Isn't that as a country? Yes.
You're right. We talked about that too, but there was just a news feed which said that he was taken to Walter Reed Hospital. I don't know. Yeah. So I can't wait to read that story. I don't know if Candace was able to find out anything about that, but that's a major development.
Pull up anything that was today. I tried and I didn't see anything from today. I saw something from his hospital visit that was a little earlier this year, but I didn't see anything from the hospital visit.
At Walter Reed.
What you were talking about.
Yeah.
So is that how we end up talking about the VPs? Now see, now one thing about Kamala's a pit bull.
She is.
She's a pit bull. We need a pit bull. So even understanding that that's not what Joe does, but Joe's a very intelligent man, a heartfelt man. He's a good man. He's got a good heart, and his heart is in the right place. Kamala is the pit bull in that situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
true.
If we want to make sure we get our pit bull in, we need to vote for Joe Biden and the rest of the crew. And then, I'm still seeing these folks who are holdouts who are still saying, well, it's all the same, and I need to hold out my Democratic vote, and I'm not voting for Democrats because Joe Biden is more of a racist. He's hiding his racism and all this other nonsense. This is crazy.
But Mike, let me challenge you on that one. This is an opportunity. Here comes an opportunity. The next debate is presenting an opportunity to Kamala Harris to put it all on the table, to talk about her track record, right? As a prosecutor, as the former attorney general of California, the state of California, and now as a senator and so forth. Now is the time for her to clear up those charges that people are leveling at both her and Joe Biden. What do you think about that? What do you think?
Well, I do. And she should say, listen, as a prosecutor, my job was to lock people up, and I was very good at it. But I was progressive in my. That's what do you think I was supposed to do? I'm a prosecutor. I lock people up. That's what I do, and I was very good at it. But in my prosecutorial aspirations, I ushered some of the greatest programs in the history of the country in California. Start talking about the programs she put in place to curb recidivism. To help with lawsuits. She was one of the progenitors of the lawsuit for environmental racism and things like that. So you've got to give her due, not to mention the fact that as a black woman and a state prosecutor, attorney general, she's got the bona fides to be where she's at. And if we want to talk about black women achieving, doing their thing, making their own way, being the first of their kind, the first of their name, we need to make sure that Kamala Harris is supported and supported at the VP spot. Even if you have your problems with Joe, he's got a black woman in place. I get really disturbed when I hear black women talk about empowerment, but they're not for Kamala Harris.
So here is the story that Big was talking about. Okay. Paul did get me that link. Thank you, Paul. He's been taken to Walter Reed Medical Center on Friday as a precautionary measure following his coronavirus diagnosis. He remains in good spirits, has mild symptoms, and has been working throughout the day, is what the press secretary said. Out of an abundance of caution and the recommendation of his physician and medical experts, the president will be working from the presidential offices at Walter Reed for the next few days. President Trump appreciates the outpouring of support for both he and First Lady. The president's transfer to the medical facility comes less than a day after he announced his diagnosis. Let's see, what else? Early Friday afternoon, the White House physician said Trump was fatigued but in good spirits. Dr. Conley also said Trump had been given an experimental antibody cocktail treatment. He was taking several nutritional supplements as well.
All right, so can I mention something about the press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany? All right, so Kayleigh, so Hope Hicks was sick on Wednesday. And she started showing symptoms definitely on Thursday on her way back from Minnesota. So they quarantined her on the plane. Now, Kayleigh McEnany knew this early in the morning when they were coming back from Minnesota and they were on the plane. Kayleigh McEnany knew this. She wasn't on the plane, but she knew the story. She knew what was going on. By the evening, Kayleigh McEnany held a press conference and never mentioned the coronavirus or that the president had taken the test or any of that. The country found out kind of by accident by a reporter from Bloomberg Network mentioning the point that Hope Hicks had been sick and who was quarantining herself. And it was just a shock to all the reporters and everybody else because Kayleigh McEnany, the person just released that report right there, which I don't believe a iota of it. There's no way Trump is going to the hospital without it being very, very serious. I think that is a serious move. Trump went to the hospital back in November of last year. We still don't know what that was. He said it was just a routine checkup. No way with that man going to the hospital looking weak, which is the one thing he hates to do. He hates looking weak with a passion. He hates that with a passion. So the fact that he went to the hospital, he's going to be working at the hospital, and Kayleigh even admitted he's going to be there for several days, is an unbelievable development. That's big, y'all.
So Mike, having said that, though, he is the president of the United States, and this is a matter of national security. Because if his, and God forbid, if his health were to take a turn for the worse, then obviously Mike Pence would step into his role. And then if something were to happen with regard to that, then Nancy Pelosi will step into that particular role as well. So this is a critical issue here. Even if it is a precautionary note, it's critical in simply because of his position as the head of state of the most powerful nation on the planet.
They've already started doing some tactical measures as far as our defense is concerned.
Yeah,
they have launched some of the and Mike, you'll have to help me out because you're a military guy. But they don't.
They've launched out ships out to the sea. They've launched ships out to the sea to make sure that there are no shenanigans by Russians or other submarines. It's a show of force that you have whenever you have some weakness at the top. You have to show basically like military games. You send out ships, you send out military maneuvers. It's like guarding the house when things are going on. You go out and you have a patrol go out. And this is normal procedure. This would happen with any president. And we have that right now with our situation with our president. They've already also announced that Mike Pence tested negative. Him and his wife tested negative. Right? So the fact that Mike Pence tested negative lets everybody know that we're supposedly safe and the procedures of the United States Constitution are in order. But this is unbelievable. Candace, you broke that news. You and the great Paul Heron breaking that news right now, live and direct, is an important development. And let me tell you, that is big. Trump is, if you know, just talking about swinging back to the election for a minute, he hates this worse than anything.
Looking weak, right? So, looking weak.
Looking weak. Oh my goodness. So him going to Walter Reed means he's in much worse shape than Kayleigh McEnany would come to recognize. She hates Trump looking weak more than anything. I call her a Baghdad Barbie. She's like,
okay.
Kayleigh McEnany is I mean, she came out and said, "I'll never lie to you," and then lied to everybody in the next sentence, and she's been lying ever since. If Trump's got 20,000 lies in her 20 days in the position, she's lied 10,000 times. I mean,
that's her job, though. That's her job, Mike. That's her job, man.
No, it's not her job.
She's the spin doctor. When you're the press secretary, you're the spin doctor.
Okay. Look, spinning is one thing.
I'm just saying what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, spinning is one thing, but lying is a total other thing. That's a whole.
Hey, Mike. It's alternative truth or alternative facts.
Hey, Mike and Vic.
What's up?
Yes.
Now, you know, Vic just inadvertently hit everybody that works in the communications field, right? Hold up, Vic. Hold up.
Pump my brakes.
Hey, Spinderella. What are you doing, Spinderella? Spinderella. We're going to call you Dirty Spinderella.
I will tell you, being in that position, working for a known leader, like someone whose profile is very high and it's a very public profile, that is an interesting position to be in. I would tell you firsthand. That is interesting.
So
in what way, Candace?
In what way?
It's just interesting because I think sometimes what happens is you'll tell the truth, and the media will decide that they want to spin that truth. And sometimes it's just interesting. I'll put it that way. It's just an interest. You'd have to be in it to understand.
I can believe that. I can believe it.
So you were good at spinning, huh?
Candace was a spin doctor. She was a
spin
doctor.
No. I think regardless of that, I think one of the things that you have to do for yourself personally, your personal ethics, is you have to decide that you will not be the one to mislead people. And that may or may not cost you your job, but you've got to decide at the end of the day that your word has to mean something.
Wow.
You have to decide that for yourself.
Yeah.
But isn't that the point here, Candace, where we see right now with our Constitution being challenged, with Mitch McConnell and everybody pushing through Supreme Court nominees. And we've heard also the Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett. She is tested negative, so they say. She's been meeting with all these senators. If Hope Hicks is the super spreader, patient zero in this whole aspiration, Amy Coney Barrett has been meeting with all these people. But isn't that the case, though, Candace?
That's huge.
Real quick, because we are missing some good comments here. Spectacle said, because Hometown Hero did provide an article where Trump took a, I didn't click on the article, but what he says is in the article is that Trump denounced, racist groups. And wait, Deep Blue. And the response was that I would have chosen a world stage and not one dedicated to my base to denounce. And I think that's the point. And I think Hometown Hero is missing my point of he had an opportunity.
Yeah.
He was standing up there. Everybody was watching. Everybody's waiting. He had an opportunity. Not only did he deflect, but he decided to activate. So you can't get past that, Hometown Hero. There's no getting beyond that. There's no, he did the next day. The next day when the only person that knew about it was like you and 12 other people, when he had an opportunity to do it that night.
How they gonna play us, folks? I mean, come on, man. We've seen this guy over the past 4 years. Come on, man. It is what it is. Look, the truth is the truth. Okay?
Yes.
Don't try to placate me. Don't try to play me like I'm Boo Boo the Fool or something like that.
Right.
Come on, man. We know how he cut. Come on, man.
Well, look, I mean, when we talk about how he speaks, he still hasn't said in one breath, I condemn white nationalists and white. He will not say it in that sense. He'll say,
Mike, you said this before. Those are his stormtroopers, man. Those are his brown shirts.
Hey, that's the point I was just about to make.
Yeah.
He keeps equating them with the police. Let the police do their jobs. So that equates them with they're doing a job the police aren't capable of doing. They're like the police or something like that. Let the police do their job. Like, I know you're trying to clean up the streets, you vigilantes, you KKKers, you skinheads and the like. I know you're trying to clean up the streets, but let the police do their jobs.
So real quick, Hometown Hero said he condemned them in a debate in 2016. I don't recall that. And then he said that question is an insult. Hometown Hero.
That's what his mouth said.
Let me tell you what an insult is, Hometown Hero. Hometown Hero, an insult is being black in this country, knowing there are people who dislike you, who want to kill you and do all manner of things to you for absolutely no reason other than your skin color, and then to have the leader of the country not check them at every turn that he gets. That's an insult.
And look,
hold on. It's not insulting for him every chance he gets to condemn them, because that's what should happen. That's not an insult to him. That's not an insult at all. What it is he's insulting millions of people by refusing to condemn them. By
absolutely.
Nobody's insulting him. And the fact that you would dare say that the white man is the one that's insulted in this instance is crazy. That's crazy.
Hey, Candace,
no doubt,
that's one of the main problems I got with all of this. It's a false equivalency. So even when Trump also says this, well, but I'm concerned about the left, about the Antifa, and then Black Lives. He didn't say Black Lives Matter yet, because he knows better than to kind of really do that, because he's trying to keep on a couple black votes that he's getting from these kids. But he says Antifa. Now let's say this about these issues. Since for the last 25 years, white supremacists, according to the FBI, have killed something people. I can't remember the number. There's 0 killings by Antifa. Now, I wish Joe would have said this, but Joe was kind of stammering and stuttering and really wasn't ready for this. But Antifa's not just an idea per se. Antifa means anti-fascist, which is Nazis, the skinheads, the Proud Boys. They are fascist. So, and the Antifa people show up only because they're there to fight these fascists, right? And this is one of the things that I have a problem with. As soon as we stand up and say, hey, man, no more, then people will call us violent. But wait a minute, we're just responding to the violent entities that have worked around in this country for 100 years. Skinheads, Proud Boys, brown shirts, neo-Nazis, whatever you want to call them, have been around for 100 years, murdering, killing, robbing, raping Americans, Germans, and everybody else. You can't. There's no equivalency. There's no equivalency. Antifa's not going around hanging people in the back of trucks. Antifa's not going around intimidating people and burning crosses on anybody's lawn.
Hey, Mike. Yeah. As far as the points you're making are concerned, look, I wish that Biden would have said this. The FBI recently stated, both the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security stated that the most persistent, consistent threat to the stability of American society are white supremacist groups. I wish Biden would have driven that point home, right? We're talking about national security issues here, right?
So really quickly, I want to touch on a few of the comments here, where let's see. Tim says, but I also felt insulted when I'm told if I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden, then I'm not black. Tim, I don't think Tim saw the show where me and Vic and I didn't let that go, Tim. We didn't let that ride. Trust me. Exactly. We didn't let that go. Deep Blue was of a different mind. However, Vic and I both said, wait a minute.
Exactly. That's right.
You found yourself a little too familiar there, buddy. What are you doing?
No doubt.
What do you mean we're not black? If we're not voting,
Exactly.
We didn't let that rock. Don't worry, Tim. That didn't get to go away.
No doubt.
And then let's see. I think that's it for the comments. Somebody said that we didn't even mention the taxes yet. I'm not going to have a tax conversation.
Oh Lord, the taxes.
We've got like 1 minute because we have to wrap up because I am actually supposed to be at family events right now. So
wow. Okay.
But
listen, this man pays less in taxes than everybody I know who has a job.
$750 worth, to be exact.
That was just a year he paid taxes. There was some years he paid zero, y'all.
Yeah, no doubt. Zero.
I definitely pay more than that $750. I definitely.
No doubt.
You know what?
Me too.
There's lots of people who are really mad about that. And I didn't really understand it because I thought everybody understood that he didn't pay taxes. That's why he's been hiding the whole time. But I think a lot of people were really shocked by that. They didn't really. I wonder sometimes what's on people's minds when they don't understand how this works. Listen,
I think that there is a difference between speculation and someone thinks someone is doing something, or you might think they're doing it to a certain point, and then there is astonishment that the IRS comes knocking on everybody else is doing for every little thing.
Yeah.
But not only did the IRS, not only did he get away with that, but then they gave him a $72 million return.
No question. Wow.
Yeah.
But
that's amazing.
Isn't this how America works? No, who's surprised about that? Why are people surprised about the fact that Amazon and Walmart and these major corporations don't pay taxes? That's why the schools don't work. That's why the roads are no good. That's why nobody picks up the carcasses of dead animals on the side of the road anymore.
Candace,
you don't have tax money.
Candace, that's your point, Candace, about classism. The top 1%.
I keep telling y'all about classism. Y'all want to keep sitting up here debating. Y'all want to debate red and blue. How about I'm not even gonna say it.
The top 1%. Green. The Green Party, right?
Because
look,
y'all. Because look, Mike looked at me like, "Where are you going with that?" I only have about 2 minutes. I have 2
minutes. Well, listen.
We have somebody in the comments who's saying that Bezos and Amazon didn't pay taxes either. This person is new. Obviously, she has not watched this show before. But we talk about classism quite a bit. And you better believe that he's part of the 1% that we discussed.
Absolutely.
But welcome. I think we attracted a new conservative from some of her comments.
Hey, where the liberals at, Candace? Where the liberals? Where the liberals? The progressives.
The liberals and the progressives are on the screen.
That's right. Hey, everybody said something about the face. Brother Vic is right winger.
What's that? What you say?
You're a right winger. You ain't
a right winger, man. See, I got to bring the opposing viewpoint, man, to keep it interesting, man. We can't all be on the same side from an argumentative standpoint. I got to bring in even the opposing point.
But isn't there a right side to this? Isn't there a reason we need health care? Isn't there something that we need to make sure that we have police and fire? Trump and some of his Trumpsters always want to talk about us wanting to disband police and stuff like that. That's not what we're talking about.
Reform. Police reform.
I saw a meme and I thought it was perfect of how you had people going, "We don't want immigrants over here because they don't pay taxes, blah, 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 blah." And then the meme later said with the same person of Trump was smart for not paying taxes.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And most of these immigrants pay more even in illegal, not illegal immigrants, but the workers and
exactly.
They pay more in taxes than Trump paid.
Exactly.
That's a fact. But isn't this how Trump, his mind works? I mean, he calls us suckers and losers if you're in the military. Why would they make that sacrifice? What's in it for them? He is only about what's in it for him. And we got to understand the philosophy behind this man. And I'm not going to speak ill of the sick and shut in. My pastor told me not to do that. When you got sick and shut in, you pray for them every Sunday. So we're going to pray for the president. We're going to pray for the first lady and everybody else, everybody else who's in the middle of this. But I hope in the mind of what we have, and using Hope Hicks's word as a metaphor, I
want to do this real quick. I need to get Jeff's comment in here, and then we need to close out.
Okay.
Jeff says they really need to close those tax loopholes, but too many on both sides are taking advantage of them, especially the carry forward clause. On that note, Mike, go ahead. 20 seconds, because we got to close out.
Listen, I want everybody to know this. Our country, we thought it was going to be bad, and there were going to be people fighting in the streets. You let Trump die or pass away, or even go under, and Mike Pence has to take over for the next 30 days. Oh my goodness. Now remember, Boris Johnson in Great Britain, he was sick for about 30 days. They had to transfer power to a guy that was under him for a while, and it wasn't really chaos there. We've got things in order. But if anybody thinks that Nancy Pelosi being that close to the annals of power, the handle of power, will not make these conservatives go crazy, we got another thing coming. So I wish the president well. I wish that he a speedy recovery, so that we can get on to the business of our elections, so we can vote.
Do we lose him?
We did. You want to know why we lost him? Nothing. I'm going to go tell my joke. Go ahead, Nick.
Somebody put the plug on him.
20 seconds.
I'll end with my standard line, folks. If you're looking for a leader, look in the mirror and you will find one staring right back at you. We are the leaders that we're looking for. Get in tune and get into it and get involved. Peace.
I think that I've said more than enough today. I just want to see an actual debate on October 7th. That's where I am with this thing. I am, I'm a policy kind of gal, and I want to deal in that, and I want to see, what the plans are on both sides to move the country forward. I also want to remind people in Michigan, several other states, early voting has started, so go ahead and go vote. And, just make sure that you're knowledgeable about the things that you're going to go vote for. Make sure you're knowledgeable about your voting rights. And, just make sure you're on top of that. Again, you have the right to vote, so go vote. Make sure that you know that what you can and cannot do. Make sure you know certain deadlines for certain things. And just whatever your state requires, but go vote, go use your voice, go exercise your rights. And at the end of the day, someone is still tweeting from Herman Cain's account. I'll leave it at that.
Wow.
This has been Whose Opinion Is It Anyway with Candace
and Victor.
And Deep Blue, who never said
when they allow me to be on the show, your boy Michael Harris is in the building with my N-Dub shirt on. Northwestern, long live N-Dub.
There you go.
We will not end my show with Northwestern. We will end it with Southwestern. Bye-bye.
No. We're Central.